Hello and welcome to Film and TV Reviews. I'm Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Grant Burton. But in the meantime, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave a question and or comment and or feedback down below. Today I am reviewing First Man, and I went to his preview screening of this, full disclosure, and I wrote a review which you can catch on powerdown.com. In short, I liked this film, I didn't love it. And let me start by saying about the acting. The acting's great. Ryan Gosling is Neil Armstrong. It's all about him and his journey to the moon. And he does a really good job. The problem is that if you've seen Ryan Gosling's previous films, he often plays a quiet, subdued man, and that's exactly what he's doing here. So while his performance is good, I kind of feel like I've seen it before. And yeah, that's not necessarily a bad point, it's just something to take note of. The character is so quiet and subdued that he's so focused on getting to the moon, you kind of know why. And it does pay off very well towards the end as to why he's so focused and determined. But throughout the film, you'll often see him getting really emotional and stressed out and trying to handle the trauma that he's been through, to the point where, because he's bottling everything up, he leaves and he just goes into solitude, and you just see like a tear rolling down his eye, and he's just standing there on his own, and you can get a real sense of the struggle that's going on inside him. So I've really got to praise him for that. Claire Foy, meanwhile, really good as well as his wife. The problem is that Claire Foy doesn't really have much to do in this film. She's a stereotypical housewife and a mother, which might be historically accurate, I don't know, but it does mean all she ever really does in this film is kind of be there and be worried and nervous about her husband while also trying to put on a brave face for her children. But there is one key scene towards the end of the film where she just breaks and she makes some demands of Neil, and she really shows her powerful emotion side, and you get a sense that actually she's not just this subdued housewife, she's actually the one running this family. And yeah, she really does a good job in that scene. The side characters, meanwhile, that's where the film struggles big time, because the side characters are not developed at all, basically, at times. And it's understandable. This is a film about Neil Armstrong. You can't develop and explore every character in the film. But the problem is that you've got familiar faces and names, and the characters so often rely on you knowing who these are. So for example, I was watching this film thinking, oh, there's Neil Armstrong. Oh, there's Neil Armstrong talking to Kyle Chandler and Kieran Hines. And I never learned these characters' names. I never learned anything about these characters. But yeah, it's kind of expected. I just wish there was a little bit more there so I could get to know them a bit more. Where this film truly shines is in its production, particularly the cinematography. There's an excessive use of film grain, and the use of colour and mise-en-scène is brilliant. It gives the whole film an archival look and feel. So when you're watching this, oftentimes you kind of think you're watching a documentary. It looks like real documentary archival footage from that time period. And at the end of the film, I could be mistaken, but I think they actually used some archival footage, and they definitely used the voices of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, the real Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, which is a nice touch. But yeah, really good cinematography, helps with the immersion, makes everything feel real and true, and it increases the validity of it all. So yeah, and also that goes to the direction as well. Direction really good. Although, while talking about direction, I do think the film is a little too long, and sometimes it's a bit on the slow side, but that's not the big problem with the film. The big problem with the film is that this is telling the story of Neil Armstrong and NASA's journey to the moon. It's a very well known, very well documented story, and maybe this is just me. That I've got to be honest, it could just be me, but I know a lot about this story anyway. So this film didn't surprise me, it didn't wow me, because I knew how it ended, I knew who lived and who died, I knew the stakes weren't going to be that risky in the end, because there wasn't any real tension built up, although the film does try to build a tension, but because I know the outcome, I just wasn't in the moment as I should have been. So yeah, if you don't know much about this story, you'll probably love it. But if you do, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. That being said, this is a film of two stories. You've got the journey to the moon, and then you've got Neil Armstrong trying to overcome the death of his daughter. And that's the really good bit of this film, because that's the part of the film I didn't know much about. I didn't know Neil Armstrong's daughter died when she was young. I didn't know he had such a hard time getting over it. I didn't know he had all these other traumas that happened on his journey. And yeah, it's good writing and good acting from Ryan Gosling that this side of the story really works. And this is the side of the story that's really propelling things forward, mostly. So yeah, I didn't love this film. I liked it. It wasn't bad by any means. But yeah, before I finish, I just want to talk about the space stuff, because obviously a film about going to the moon, you have to have some stuff shot in space. This is again an area where the film kind of struggles, because there have been so many films like this before. Apollo 13, Gravity, Interstellar, just to name a few. And a lot of the space stuff does seem familiar because of how often it's been done in other films. Like Interstellar, for example, Christopher Nolan stuck a camera on the outside of like jet planes to get some of the space footage in there, and it looks like Damien Chazelle, the director of this, has done a very similar thing, which makes me think there's a limited use of CGI, which is a good thing. It helps with the immersion again, and it makes everything seem real. But it's like, I think I've seen this before. You're not doing anything that different or unique, and that's a bit of a letdown. But yeah, like I said, if you ignore everything that's came before, if you ignore the fact that this is a story we all know quite well, if you know the fact that there's other films that have done similar things, you probably will really enjoy this film, because it is pretty well made. It's just a shame that this film's coming out now rather than like 20 years ago or something like that. But yeah, that's my review of this film. I liked it, I didn't love it, and it comes out on the October 12th, I think, in the UK. So check it out, I do recommend it. You'll probably enjoy it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Give me a subscription and a thumbs up if you've liked it, and leave a comment and some feedback down below. I'm Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Grant Burton. But until next time, I'm out.